What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. As you guys know, I did a particular video on Kev on Stage. Now, Kev on Stage is in my honest opinion, not a very talented comedian, all right? And I'm not saying that because I don't like the guy. I'm just saying it because I've watched his content and he, for me, is not that funny. Some of y'all might think he's funny. I don't think he's that funny, but hey, you can do whatever you want to do. And again, he's a Kevin Samuels hater. And remember, Kev on Stage recently came out there begging for people to support him because his podcast revenues was falling down, and which makes sense because again, Kev on Stage is not that interesting to me. That's just me personally. He could be for others, but not for me. Let me go back and play that particular clip of Kev on Stage and the begging, and then I'm gonna come back.
Yeah, I wanted to clear something up real quick. I realized I said this at length on Patreon, but I didn't address it in the public. So as you noticed, I've been promoting Patreon more and more, especially the last week or so. And I never really said why. So I'll just be upfront with you like I was with the Patreon yesterday. Podcast revenue has been down around 70% for me in all my podcasts. Josh, Angel, and Greg salaries are dependent on podcast revenue. And it used to be tremendously lucrative and I was able to pay them and all that type of stuff, but it's downturned tremendously. So instead of having to lay them off or reduce their salaries, I decided to give the Patreon audience and you an opportunity to help basically save their jobs. I'm not even, to put it plainly, in order to help keep them on payroll, I'm going to offer more stuff on Patreon, more shows, more exclusive content, things like that. I asked my Patreon if they could increase their monthly gift by $2 or $3. And I'm asking more people to join so that I can continue to keep these people on payroll and other creators around be able to help them do what they do, pay some of their bills as well.
So you guys remember that clip. Right after this, Corey Holcomb created a show, and the name of the show is called Is Christian Comedy a Hustle? Now, he doesn't call any names, but he specifically mentions podcasters, right? I want you to listen to what he has to say, and then I'm gonna come back.
I can take my hat off to somebody that ain't saying, I'm a Christian comic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's...
A Christian comic? You ain't finna do really no jokes about the Bible. You finna just go up there and try not to curse. Right. And say, I'm a Christian comic. Y'all gotta understand, man. It's like, yo, man. The streets got eyes and telepathy, homie. We be peeping what you doing, homie. And that's why, dog, let me tell you something. Staying power in this business is you're not giving it its full credibility. See, this is what happens with this podcast world. You be hot for a second. All you hot, you be hot for a second. But then when people really cue in on who you are, they say, oh, this ain't shit. I'm gone.
Oh my God.
That's real shit, yeah.
After people peep you.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens in the real world. Like if some motherfucker come out, you thought they was the shit. I remember when they used to say, Dane Cook is so funny. I'm just putting it out there.
Lord, no.
I'm just using a comic.
Right.
Man, after people tune in and watch that, they was like, oh, he ain't shit.
Oh my God.
This is hype.
Oh.
He had a whole movie campaign.
Right.
But he wasn't talented like that in front of the people. I'm using him because he was one of the most biggest name comics that was not funny. And he faded off.
Yeah, there's a big difference between being a comedic actor and being a comedian who
As
wants
you
to
guys
act.
fade off, stop blaming everything else. They done peeped you. They see you ain't. you get away with this, boy. You get a run of perpetrating, hey, whoop-de, 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 whoop. After them people peep you, dog, they gonna be like, oh, this Hey, shit.
Now, after hearing that, I was compelled to get on my Cash App and get broke. You know, I ain't got that much money, but I had to break the brother off for saying something real. And what is real is those people who have to be considered Christian comics. And he mentioned Ricky Smiley. Ricky Smiley is actually funny. Ricky Smiley can do any kind of comedy, especially with that little Daryl. He's a funny guy. Grew up in the church, playing the piano, stuff like that. Very talented guy, underrated. But this guy, Kev on Stage, everybody know that Kev on Stage, can we be honest? He's not no comedian. All right? This guy's underneath the Christian community, the Christian comedy thing. And a lot of guys who do Christian comedy are not that talented. Let's just keep it a buck. Let's just be real. All right? Because Corey Holcomb has been doing this podcast for what? 14 years. Have you ever heard Corey Holcomb say, man, our podcast ain't doing that well. We need you to give some money. What about Tariq Nasheed? What about your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson? I ain't nearly as well. I got a little bit of funny in me, but I'm not nearly as funny as Corey Holcomb, because Corey Holcomb ain't got to ask for no money because he's great. That's why. He's talented. You will never see Corey Holcomb, if he was doing a podcast 2 times a week, 3 times a week, it gets better. It don't get worse, it gets better. But this guy talking about he needs help. He's a damsel in distress. Wanna know why? Because he's not that good. That's why Corey Holcomb mentions podcasters. You've been found out. Yeah, man, you thought that you was on point, but you're not. You're not that guy, bro. Stop asking your audience to come out and support you. When you out there with that, you're not that good. How about let me say that? You're not good. And a guy like Corey Holcomb been in the game for all these years. He ain't never asked nobody for a goddamn dollar. And I'm glad he's getting on that. These Christian and I've seen some of these dudes, man. Christian comedies, Christian artists, and these guys get buku amounts of money, right? Monetized on Facebook. Now I'm gonna tell you something about a guy like Corey Holcomb. Corey Holcomb is on Facebook too, I believe. He has a big follower on Facebook, but Facebook you can't really curse. So a guy like Corey Holcomb don't probably waste a lot of his time posting on Facebook. He probably doesn't, get a whole big bag over there like on the YouTube. All right. But now somebody like Kev on Stage, all those little corny skits he doing, those little food roasts in the background, that same ass flip phone BlackBerry Storm style camera he been using for the last 10 years and things like that. You can do those kind of dusty ass videos on Facebook because it's cringe and it's corny. People like that, but ain't nobody gonna pay to see that. That's why, it's terrible. It's awful. And these guys are not really comedians. When I'm looking at the kind of people that he working with, I'm on this Facebook page right now. Some more. Bruce, Gary Owen, Tommy Davidson, and Don DC Curry, Carlos Them is some people who funny. Lavelle Crawford. Those are real comedians. Especially Bruce and Lavelle Crawford out of St. Louis. Even the white guy Gary Owen. Those are real comedians. Even some more. You think Kev on Stage can get on there with them? He can't even, listen, he couldn't even be an assistant usher at that event. He can't even get wash rags for them. That is how unfunny Kev on Stage is. Then got the unmitigated gall talking about how much can you help us because the podcast revenue failed 70%. It should have failed 90. What you mean 70? Shoot, I hope it fall down to 0 after how you talked about the guy who was passing away. And when folks understand that you're not the truth, you're not that good. Hey man, it is what it is. Even I'm looking at some of this stuff, Bill Bellamy, Donnell Rawlins. Those are real comedians, man. Those are real comedians. We ain't talking about no damn Kev on Stage. Might care about no Kev on Stage. We talking about these guys here. No offense to the guy. He does his thing, but that's why Corey Holcomb made that show. Because those guys, Christian comedians, I mean, you can have that style of thing, but those are guys who pretty much don't curse and who don't really have that much talent in comparison to the regular comedians outside of Ricky Smiley. He's right. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all you do, subscribe to the bell. We're out.